African history host, Professor Hicks, and dropping by for a quick discussion. And hope everyone is fine. Families are fine, and we're growing in blackness. Yes, are we growing in blackness? So, welcome to the hundredth anniversary of Black History Month. Thank you for Dr. Carter G. Woodson who got us here. All right, it used to be Black History Week. Now it's Black History Month. And now we're celebrating 100 years, man. That's a wonderful, wonderful thing. I've not always had the greatest admiration for Black History Month, week, or whatever. Early on, I was pretty ignorant to many of the things that treasures it brought to our community. And over the years, I've been, of course, embraced it and done many programs when I taught in school, high school, and college. I presented many I've been a part of many, I should say, events and meetings and gatherings, to promote different issues in Black history and Black communities. So, welcome, and let's hopefully we have another good one. So, lots is going on in the world, family. How about this? How about this cold, huh? Yeah. What? I've been thinking lately how this cold, this vortex they call it, how it has embraced America. I mean, it's not only in America, but it really is a very, very has been effectuating itself here. All right, and people are with the clothes on and the snowfall up here north. We're up north, and the snow was tremendous. People had to spend most of their day and time inside the house trying to stay warm. And it's been a somewhat of a crazy, 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 crazy time. And this cold vortex has been over us since about January. Mm-hmm. Since about January. And I've looked at, I try not to get too deep into conspiratorial type stuff. Some of it I take a little dabble in, but spiritual stuff I embrace, and have done a lot of work in that field. Another one of the reasons why I took the trip to Egypt, to Africa. See, my trip wasn't a tour or an enjoyment trip. It was hard work. I worked in Africa. All right, earned a little certificate for my work, and meaningful work, purposeful work, probably some of the most purposeful work I've done in some time. But the mysterious and spiritualness of this vortex I've looked into. And I've said to myself, isn't it a coincidence, or is it not a coincidence, that this cold vortex seems to be reflecting the particular mood in America right now? Could it be? Or is it just me? Could it be? The mood in America seems to reflect the weather that we're experiencing. Or should it be vice versa? I don't know. You think about it. Some of the things that have been revealed lately about our dear country, some of the actions, behaviors, some of the political firestorms, some of the killings seem to reflect a chilliness, a coldness that seems to be very, very congruous or congruent with our present day weather forecast. Yes, I thought about that. I thought about another thing. I thought about how about closing your eyes for a moment and thinking that you're going to be living in this vortex of cold for the rest of your life. Meaning that every day you wake up, this is what you're going to confront. Not only is this what you're going to confront, but this is what you're going to have to work with. You're going to have to manage. You're going to have to function. And all the things that come with being a human being living in such an environment. Think about not seeing grass or trees, birds or bees, fruits, vegetables, seeing one simple, constant intrusion of cold weather as well as gray skies. Rarely any sun. And then frigid temperatures for the not too seen future or the very far future. No playing outside. No running, jumping, skipping, or hopping. Covering yourself. Think about the effort it is to cover yourself every day, to prepare yourself to go out, which you must do eventually in order to have sustenance. You have to leave the house soon. And think about not having a car, a bike, motorcycle, or vehicle whatsoever, having to make your way to that sustenance, which you have very, very little of. Because we also have to take away the retail markets. We have to take away the stores, the shops. Because what are they selling? There's nothing but ice. Now you got to think about, if you do get a chance to plant, to make you a little vegetable, how long do you have in the Northeast? Maybe your planting period might just be a month, 2 months. Like here in the North where we are, we have 3 months of summer, and that's it. Think about how long you have to plant so that you can eat in the wintertime. And when that runs out, what do? How about water? How important is water? How important is storing food? How important is it to make sure that no one else takes the little food you have? Think about cold as a source of no emotion, no love, no giving, no thinking of reproduction, no thinking of nourishment. It's a cold, ugly, angry, jealous environment. It's angry all the time. You never, ever get out of it. Now, I want you to quickly think about the Caucasoid, the Caucasian, and think about this is the type of environment that these people lived in for 100,000 years. And I want you to take that thought, give it a little more, and think about what's going on today. Think about what's going on socially, politically, and economically. Think about the ice. Don't forget the ice. But think about the people who came from that ice. And with those thoughts, take them and put them together into a context and begin to answer all the questions as to why we are in this mess. Because there's only one, I hate to use the term race, but I have to. There's only one race responsible for this mayhem that we're facing in this country and the world. And that race are the Caucasoids. Eurasians, sometimes called. Solely responsible. And I go back to saying reflects our current time of being today, in this year, in this world, in this country, in this city. The socio-economic and political issues are very much reflective of our very cold vortex that is gripping the entire nation, much like our political issues are. So, with that said, I thought that's a great topic for some of us to contemplate and think about. I mean, if you are viewing me, and I admit I don't have a lot of views lately, but if you are, give me a little something back on that. Is there any connection, relation, correlation between what's going on and our weather today, and our climate, and our environment, and what's going on socially and politically in our country and world? It's a cold front on both ends. There's no doubt. Is there a correlation? Are we connected? Is this proof that we are cosmically connected to everything and everyone? Could it be? Words for thoughts, thoughts for words. Something to think about. Cold, as they say in Africa, as above, so below. All right, let's move on. Cold and the Caucasoids. All right. I listen to all these news media, Midas Touch, Aaron Parnas, all of these different wonderful men trying to contribute to getting us information about the craziness that's going on in this country. I listen to CNN and all of them. I do my work, folks. When you don't see me here, I am listening. I have my ears and my fingers on the pulse of this country in every way you can know. Because when I get here, I want to be inspired. I cannot do this unless I'm inspired. So let me see if I can get through this before I get uninspired. Talk about what's next. And that all of these hundreds of programs I hear, the protesting, and the what would you call a good the monologues of the social platforms, the articulation of what's going on with particularly in regards to specifically, let's talk about Preeti and Good. But what I never hear so far is not one of them mentioning Kevin Porter Jr. Say his name. These pundits and these social media platform persons like to get into their feeling of self-righteousness, their sense of America patriotism, their sense of caring and empathy for others, pointing out all the oppressive and repressive and atrocities that are happening. But to me, I as much as I listen and I believe in many of the things and I think they're telling the truth, it doesn't really affect me because nobody is still mentioning or talking about Kevin Porter Jr. And talking about reflections, this is a reflection of America. It's wonderful to talk about all the crazy things that happened on Trump Island or Epstein's Island with Trump and the politicians and all those involved and the horrible, horrible sexual acts that are being performed on kids and babies being murdered and eaten. All of that's wonderful to know. Matter of fact, I actually question whether you really need to know all of that. Why do we need to know all of these graphic things to convince us that we're living in a world of sick people and they control this world? Why doesn't we need so much? But it's there. But at the same time, what has been going on in America, particularly in this media institution, the racial, I don't want to say animosity anymore, but the racial omittance, the blindness, still the narrow-mindedness is still, the narrow reporting, despite all the things that they're complaining about with Trump. Most of these outlets are owned by young white men, some white women. They have great reporting, and they're trying to be progressive as they think they are. But they have fallen into the same trap. No issue, no comparison that African Americans have been going through this for 400 years. It's all breaking news. It ain't breaking news to us. And where is Kevin Porter's issues in this? Preeti and Good, of course we all empathize with that. Who wants to see Americans killed? But so was Kevin Porter and his name and his incident and his murder needs to be investigated. He wasn't, I'm not going to get into particulars. For those who don't, look into this. And when you're looking at the next crazy breaking report and how, think about these people that much as they're trying to be progressive and be informative and show how much they care for us all of a sudden in the world, remember they're all making a profit. And remember, they're always forgetting about us. Every one of those news platforms should be starting off with the following. African Americans have been telling us about this for hundreds of years. African Americans have experienced this, but now African Americans studied this particular problem and said, but now African people have experienced these things, but now everyone, that is the debt that they owe us. Because these very people who are reporting off the canoe, just sick report, but the reporting is just so much, are the same people that were quiet when this was happening to us. But because it has become a part of white America, it is now front page news. All the atrocities, they know about these things. I knew about them. I study history. These people are not numb to history. They've been to school. They know these. They know there was a cabal. But they were just taking our kids. So I read the reports. I look at the social media news reports. But you should do as I do. Question everything. I don't care how much a person you love. The other day, I had to tell my wife, guess who's on the island with Chris on Epstein's island reportedly? Obama and Michelle. That rocked her. And I said to honey, don't do that. Don't put what humans will do. You don't know. And we have to always have our minds open that all of these people have been partying and know each other for years, just like in a basketball league. You got kids who come from the West Coast and East Coast. They meet each other, then they grow, and they become all-stars. Basketball players, professionally, college, and go on. And they know each other from East and West Coast. They know each other. You think these things are going on? This stuff was going on when Biden was there, too. Think he didn't know these things? Folks, don't take sides. Love yourself. Stay on your side. Keep your ears open. Listen, but listen critically. And don't trust anyone. Get your own information, because everyone who is involved, who are a part of the social institutional network, international institutional social network, whether that be media, TV, radio, social platforms, all of this is connected. And all of them have some purpose. But many of them, I would say almost most of them, have been around when these atrocities were taking place in our communities. And they should be saying, every one of them should be mentioning this brother's name, Kevin Porter Jr. So Ashe and God bless his family. All right. Yes, Black History Month, here we are. Another community that's really pissing me off is this Christian community. This black Christian community, but the whole Christian community, man. And I could talk about this because I was a Christian. I was in the church every day. Read the Bible, not all of it, but read a lot of the Bible. Knew all my verses, sang all the Psalms I knew. I could repeat them verbatim, man. And I can't believe the way these people are behaving. I can't. These Christians, the evangelicals, the African Americans who are just doped up with religion. I watched an African American social platform talk about Don Lemon getting arrested and being happy for it. Now I know Don Lemon is gay, and I'm not one to, I don't push gay issues, but I respect them, and I respect that they should be protected. And I do understand many of them are good people, but I'm not one that promotes homosexuality. I don't believe in it. But that doesn't mean that I don't have some friends that are my good friends and whatever, and that whoever you are, you deserve to be treated fairly. But they were dogging Don Lemon. These if there's one thing Christians have been known, and I'm a historian, I study this stuff. That one thing they've been known for the entire history, you know what these Christians been known for? Being hypocrites. The biggest. Now here are these articulate looking black folk, young folks for the most part, talking about how Don Lemon shouldn't have been in the church, he shouldn't have been there, and now sacrilege, he went in there. And don't even, after I dug through the story and I found out, I said, this is ridiculous. These people are making remarks and making judgments on persons and Don Lemon. Maybe it's just because they're homophobic. All right, I'll give them that. But they were articulating some specific issues about Don Lemon. But they were glorifying that he was arrested. Black people, we're still we're still carrying that canoe across a dry river called religion. Yeah. Religion got us here. And there is a place for religion. But, there's no one more religious than black people. And for us, religion has always been something that has, as I mentioned, helped us, but it also has crippled us severely. You ever wonder how all these big mega churches got started? You know what these guys, do you know what those church guys took? All those famous, they took millions from Bush to build those mega churches. Millions from George Bush Jr. And today now they're all big mega stars and they took those millions. Those millions should have been in the community. These black preachers, man, why are there, I don't see, I see a few out there, but why, with all of them sucking up that money on Sunday, why is not every one of them out there in the street? I know a black preacher myself who I'm very, very, I'm sad for. Friend of the family. Doing nothing out there. Young man too. When I was his age, I was out there getting my ass kicked. Fighting for freedom. Everything. It all happened. Jail, everything. Yes. I did my part. Yeah, I'm too old to get out there now, but I'm doing my part here. But these Christians, I mean, how many Christians know the story? How many Christians, let's get real. How many Christians know the story of the Children's Brigade? How many Christians know the story of the Inquisition? How many of them have an idea that these are Christian-rooted institutions, people, persons, and the things that they have done? The Children's Crusade, yes. The last of the, I believe, 6 crusades. Started by Peter the Hermit, I believe. I got the name. I haven't studied it very long. Recently. I taught this for a while. It's in me. How many people know? Study the Children's Crusade. And I'm not going to give you any more of that because if you're a good subscriber or viewer of Professor Hicks, you got to do some homework. But I'll come back and get into it. Study the Inquisition. And understand that these evangelicals are study the Talmud. Look at it. Read it. See who your Hebrew and Jewish brothers and sisters are. Your Christian brothers and sisters. Study these people. Study this Christian stuff. And ask yourself, how could these people not be outside every day talking about loving Christ and killing people? It's not new for me. It's a great movie called The Kingdom of Heaven. Watch that movie. Ooh, that's a lot of history in that, man. A lot of good stuff. It's one of the carrion call for the Crusaders. God wills it. Yeah, when they murdered and chopped up those people, man, some of them they cooked them, ate them. Babies. Because these white folks were hungry. Yeah. Study it. Study the Children's Brigade. You're going to read it. And if you get to the graphic part, if you can get through it. Yeah. God wills it. God wills it. God wills you massacring people? We've used God now. We've taken God and made him a human entity, not even anthropomorphic, but human entity. Anthropomorphic could mean like a cartoon. No, we've personalized God. We've made him go after you and get revenge. Humans get revenge. God doesn't get revenge. How could you believe in a God that's going to revenge and kill someone else? Christians, man, you guys ought to get off it, man. It's horrible. You guys are bad, man. Black Christians are the worst, man. I'm telling you. That's why I don't diss anybody's religion. I do not. I can say this about Christians because I used to be one. I know it, and I see the ugliness in it. It's not a good thing. And these black Christians talking about being happy that Don Lemon was persecuted by a government that would in the mean 2 seconds be persecuting them is sick. Because you know why? Let me end it with this. It's called social amnesia and lack of history. That's what's killing us as a people. We know nothing about our culture. We've given it up. We've become Americans. And that's what these are, Christian Americans. They didn't give a crap that they all look the same and they talk about the same person looks like them. But you know what? I want to end with this. I'm proud of Africa. I believe when I'm gone and my grandbaby, and she's going to change this world like many of our grandbabies. And she's going to do and point to Africa, because what's going on in Africa, most African people in this country don't know. How many of you know that they are projected to be the next great economy, not in 50 years, in 20 years? They're going to be a nuclear power very, very soon. And while we're sitting here doing Catch That Cheat and what's those girly shows and pulling our pants down and twerking on stage, these Africans is moving. All right. Last topic. What time I'm at? 27 minutes. All right. What else we want to talk about last? Let's talk about, I was going to talk about the Cubans, you know, I love Donald Trump. I ain't not going there today. I've been killing my wife. My wife is Cuban, you know. She's Latino. And I dog the Latinos. I tell her she can't take me. Because these Latinos, you know, it's 2 Latinos that killed these 2 people in Minnesota or Minneapolis. 2 Latinos. I'm not going there. I've been there before. All right. So I think I'm going to leave it right there. I'm going to finish off my goddess, black women, the mother goddess of the world. I'm going to finish that off. I think I have one more broadcast. Hopefully I can get it in tomorrow. But if I don't, I'll be very, very careful out there. Think about the what's going on. Be careful with ice out there. Oh, please don't get caught up in that. Thank God I'm old. I can't move. My legs ain't that good anymore. So I have to stay in there with this cold weather. Hey, listen, with the cold weather, folks, make sure you're taking your vitamin D. That's important. I didn't even take mine today. Take your vitamin D. It's important for us because our bones are not adaptable to this crazy weather. This is Europe. This is Caucasoid weather. 51st parallel. Worm. The worm period. Worm 1. Yeah. When these people were full of hair, man. Hair on their face, hair everywhere. This is how they were able to adapt to these extreme conditions. Environment controls everything. Caucasoids were able to adapt to these conditions based on the environment. Trial and error. You know, there were 2 types of Neanderthals. Recently, I was doing some research and thinking, looking into the behavior of Donald Trump and where this behavior come from. And I remember doing some work on this. I went back to see what is this frustration level of Caucasoid people, European people, when they face situations. Why are they so aggressive? Why are they so aggressive? And why their tolerance levels are so low, particularly with the male species. And you look into these things and you go back into their prehistory, and everything begins to answer itself. That's why I gave you that immediate, that prime, initial monologue on the Caucasoid behavior. Okay, this is why I did that. Because to understand what's going on today, you have to just like understand what is about us as black people. You have to go to the history. These Caucasoids come from an environment that was extremely cold. There's two different worm periods, worm 1 and worm 2. And they came from the worm 1. The first Neanderthals that emerged into Europe that did not look like the Neanderthals that came up later on, because that worming period was so extremely cold that they had to have these super mutant adaptations. The nose had to get bigger, as much like a carburetor taking in air to warm the brain. The brain is the first thing that has to be warm. So they had these big, large noses. They had these very pugnostic mouths open to match the nose. Their skin, their melanin content went down to almost zero because it had to allow more sunlight, which you ain't getting that much anyway, to get through the skin to the epidermis in order to turn it to vitamin D. Their eyes' color became recessive. When you guys see these green, blue eyes, you think, oh, they look so beautiful. Those are recessive. That's a recessive gene. Right? The skin is recessive. These people are generally recessive. And then their brain cavity. It doesn't make a difference if they're large. That does not determine intelligence. Intelligence is adaptation, the ability to adapt to an environment. It is not IQ. Intelligent quotient IQ is a false. It's been proven 1,000 times, but people are still using as measurements. It's the ability to adapt to a situation. All right? These people have the ability to adapt, and as they adapted, as most things that happen that are human, you have something that you lose. They lost their melanin. They lost their sense of empathy for people. Because if you're living in a cold environment with me and I can't get out the cave and you can't get out the cave and I say you got something over there and I ain't got it, I'm going to take it. That becomes a part of your DNA. They call that epigenetics. And this becomes a part of your generational history, taking what's not yours from this environment that we're living in right now. Cold. There's no period for planting and harvesting a plant. There's no period. You're fighting for every bit of meat. You're following whatever beasts are at your lease, and at that time it's not that much, but you're following any type of beast that you can to become your meat and your sustenance. This is why I talk about the black woman, because the black woman came up out of a different environment that made her mother goddess. It's not unlike the white woman who had to be beat over the head and carried into the cave and became, she had to have sex with everyone there. There was no such thing as fatherhood in these clans. They didn't even have a matrilineal system. They have patriarchal, but they didn't even have a matriarch. The woman, all they saw was this woman getting pregnant. Some clans did not understand the relationship between intercourse and pregnancy. They didn't understand when they saw this pregnant woman that they were the reason. That was coming long ago in the black clans and the small white clans. So this environment that these people were in, and as they mutated, they adapted. And some of these adaptations were not good for the world. And we're seeing that now. Now, this is one I'm going to leave you with this, because now I'm going over 30 minutes. And I didn't mean to, but I'm going to leave you with, like I always do. Let me see if I have my book with me. Yes, I do. And I'm going to leave you with this. Get this. I'm reading this now. This is a wonderful book. This tells you, it's going to tell you about Donald Trump and his cohorts. You're going to get understanding what's going on. And by the way, this is by Michael Bradley. He is a white man. And you can go on YouTube and listen to his speeches. Wonderful. Historian, everything. Brilliant man. And the forward is by Dr. John Henry Clark. Remember, this is a white man talking about his people. Get this book. I'm reading it now. I'm going through. I read this book about 10 years ago. But because of what's going on today, I have to bring some form of rationale, even to myself, to me. You have to have something to release and give yourself and your brain a chance to allow it to take these things and, like marinate with them, so that you may be able to come back the next day and deal with them and be ready, because you know the deal. That's why it's important to read. All right, let me see who's over here. Oh, I got some talking about moving to Africa. It looks like my son, I'm not sure. But in any case, I'm going to leave you. And one of them is the Morocco football or soccer incident that took place with the Africans there who whipped their effing ass. Yeah, we'll get to that next broadcast, okay? All right, and with that said, I want to say to my family, Ashe, have a great